So these are scriptures for people in the mode of ignorance, and they advocate these kind of false austerities. Austerities that are really some kind of sense gratification. Like Hiranyakashipu, he wanted to become immortal. He wanted to become the strongest being in the universe. So he actually wanted to kill Vishnu. That was his aim, because Vishnu had killed his brother, Hiranyaksha. So there he was, you know, standing on the tips of his toes. And he was channeling so much energy that he like disturbed the whole cosmos, the whole universe. The demigods had to go to Lord Brahma and say, would you please take care of this guy? You know, stop this nonsense. You see? So in other words, it's like a child who tries to get his way by crying and creating a disturbance and throwing a tantrum. You know? Now, if you were Krishna, put yourself in Krishna's place for a moment. And here you are, you're the super soul, you're within the heart. And you're like operating this guy's body, and you're doing all this stuff for this rascal who wants to come and live in the material world. And then what does he want to do? Huh? Does he want to serve you? Does he want to love you? Does he want to do devotional service? No. He doesn't care for your instructions. He finds some asach chastra, some nonsense process, and then he goes off and does whatever he likes anyway. So you're going to be like, okay, well, you know, I'm not going to give you enlightenment, that's for sure. You know, maybe you want some sense gratification. Well, we can arrange that, and a suitable term of existence in the hellish planets. You know, that's all available. So it puts the super soul through so much trouble. It puts Paramatma through a whole bunch of things that he really would rather not do. He would really rather that you accept his instructions in Bhagavad-gītā and the other Vedas and just perform devotional service and go back home to the spiritual world. That's what he really wants us to do. Instead, we concoct some other thing and we do, you know, some other process. And of course, it's all very well rationalized, you know. People have their nonsense so nicely figured out, you know. But yeah, it's still, you know, in any way, shape, or form, any kind of sinful activity is, in a sense, torture of the super soul, because it's not really what he wants. No, it doesn't really hurt him, you know, but you're wasting his time and energy.
He just does that out of love, right?
Take the mic.
He just does that out of love.
Yeah, all the living entities are his children. So he gives them facility. Nityo nityanam chaitanash chaitananam. Eko bahunam yo viridhati kaman. He's satisfying the desires of all the living entities. He's the one supreme living entity out of all these other conscious, eternal living entities. And he's maintaining all the others. All of them are maintained by him alone. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Even though so many complete units are emanating from him, he is the complete balance. He could emanate another infinite number of complete units and he wouldn't be diminished in the least. See? That's the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it doesn't really, you know, it doesn't inconvenience him in the sense of like threatening his supreme position or anything like that. But it's just really not what he wants to do, you know. He really wants us to come back with him to the spiritual world and engage in devotional service pastimes. That's what's pleasing to him. That's what he wants us to do. But he doesn't force us, and that's his unconditional love. That's the greatest miracle of all, is that he could easily force all of us to do whatever he wants us to do. But out of love, he doesn't force us. He tries to attract us, which is a whole different thing. He wants us to really love him. He wants us to agree to serve him, not out of force, not out of compulsion. That wouldn't be service. That would be work. That would be slavery. That would be based on fear. Religion tries to force us to serve God out of fear. You know, you better say your prayers or you're going to go to hell. My grandma used to say that to me when I was little. God is going to punish you. Huh? Yeah, it's completely nonsense, because how can you develop love for God in such an atmosphere? God becomes the big bad guy with the big stick, you know, going to punish you. But God isn't like that. Krishna isn't like that at all. That's not his character. That's not his way. Not his system. He gives his system. He gives his ways in Bhagavad-gītā. Ye yata mang prapadyante. If you surrender to Krishna, then he'll surrender to you. You know? If you want to love Krishna in a certain way, as a son, let's say, as a child, then he'll become your son. If you want to serve Krishna as a servant, he'll become your master. If you want to be Krishna's friend, he'll be your friend. And then you get to pick, do I want to be a childhood friend, a teenage friend, a grown-up friend? See? Whatever specific flavor of love that we offer to Krishna, he reciprocates perfectly. He's the original lover and the most advanced lover and beloved. And his expertise is in the exchange of loving affairs. And that's all that he does in the spiritual world. One of his names is Rasaraj. Rasaraj, the king of rasa. And he is willing to exchange love in any flavor or in any form whatsoever, unconditionally. I mean, look, he comes with us to this material world and he puts up with all our nonsense for unlimited amount of time, in the hope that one of these days we'll get it. What kind of love is that? Who can show a greater love than that? Yeah, that's supreme love, greatest love. So that's our Krishna. Is more? So pass the mic.
A question from Jan.
Another new person.
I don't know, there's a Jan and there's a Jan people both logged in, so I don't know if it's someone else.
Okay.
Question is it okay to chant sometimes also Nrsimha Kavacha from the Padma Purana? What is the relation?
It's shorter. The Narayan Kavacha includes Nrsimha Kavacha. It includes all the effects and all the benefits of Nrsimha Kavacha. But we generally recommend Narayan Kavacha because it includes the benedictions or the invocations of all the incarnations of the Lord.
Question from Varun. Babaji, if we break the regulative principles in our minds, does that also generate karma?
No. In Kali Yuga, the things that you do in your mind don't count against you. But the devotional service that you perform in your mind does count for you. See, we get a break in Kali Yuga. Yeah, Krishna is very merciful because it's so hard. Kali Yuga is so bad. People are so fallen. The mind is so uncontrolled. But there's a shloka like that. In Kali Yuga, the Lord his special mercy is that any even the intention to perform devotional service gives the same result as actually doing the service itself. I want to make thousands of temples and millions of devotees all over the world. I know that I'm only qualified to have a very few disciples and, very small little preaching mission. But, I can think big, and Krishna likes that.
Question from Jainamai. My question is whether at this moment, with the information we have, we can foresee what is the best place to live during 2012 or how to approach 2012.
Nobody knows what's going to happen in 2012. We can guess, we can make an educated guess, we can follow our inner inspiration,